All right, we're back speaking with gravity. I am Curvin, your co-host,
I'm D.
And I'm Ty.
and we are a mental health podcast that talk about how everything affects everything. And then today we got some guests to help us with this topic that we've chosen for today. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves so I don't mess it up too badly. And I'm gonna try to say your name correctly. Is it Miss Miriam?
Yes.
All right, introduce yourself. Tell us who you is, what you do for a living. Nah, not what you do for a living, but what you do. Whatever you want to share with us.
Hi, I am Miriam. I work as an administrative coordinator for USC School of Medicine in Greenville. I love traveling, shopping, eating, I'm family oriented, and career driven.
Okay. And we also have Miss Mill. Can I say your last name, or you just say your?
Oh, you can
Don't.
say whatever you
All
want
right,
to say.
Miss Mill Ivory. I know her from childhood. We went to high school together. But she also hosts a podcast that I listen to almost every time she puts something out. Some of the stuff is just I just can't
What
do
you
it.
mean you
But
can't?
go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Mill Ivory. As he mentioned, I am the host of Closed Door Conversations. It is not for the verbally sensitive, okay? If you're looking for some real and raw, come on over there and holler at your girl. I am also an entrepreneur, so CEO. I am claiming it right now. I'm on $1 million track. So
Amen.
you can shop my products at A to Z Creations. This is one of them, black owned business. A to Z Creations is a-zecreations.com.
All right, and as y'all know by now, should be at this point of the episode, we do what we call Twitter discussions, where we have an open dialogue about something that I seen on the internet, more or less. And today, we're gonna go with something that was in one of these groups on Facebook that I'm a part of, which is Black Therapist Rock. And what was put out there
Hey,
was,
Oh,
oh, Lord. Okay,
She was agreeing Black Therapist Rock.
okay.
absolutely.
All right. And what was put out there was, what did your mother teach you about relationships and embody in her own life? Did it help or hurt you in your own romantic relationships? I'm gonna let y'all take this away. My mom watched this sometimes, so I don't know what she gonna say if I say whatever I want to say about it. But D, I'm gonna go to you first. You need me to repeat this?
Yeah, say it for me one more time.
All right. What did your mother teach you about relationships and embody in her own life? Did it help or hurt you in your own romantic relationships?
My mother was a single lady who, she was single and independent. And so what she taught me through her relationships was really never really to depend on anyone to get it for herself. And I think that hurt and helped me
Yes.
in terms of relationships because I can be very strong in nature
Yes, you can.
and hold my own weight. And so I'm not used to people trying to do stuff for me out of turn. And so I'm not always receptive of that. So I think that she taught me how to be strong, but she didn't always teach me how to be humble and to be emotionally vulnerable
And
to my
submissive.
counterparts. Yeah.
She didn't teach you to be submissive either.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry. I done dropped my phone and everything. Scared that she gonna say something.
Don't
But
be
nah.
scared. You stepped in it.
Yeah, I know, right?
When you step in it, stand
Nah,
in it.
I'm finna step right back out. I'm just gonna go ahead and go on over to you.
So my mom has been married to my dad for 40 years. It's myself and my two sisters, so all girls. My mom, she taught me to really be like strong-minded. So yes, like Dee said, what a man does is extra, and then once you're used to being an independent woman, it is hard to accept that from a man, and so it's like you run them away. But also, she taught me don't deal with anything you don't have to or you don't want to. So when you see these red flags, it's time to go. It's not about. I think a lot of people have issues as far as leaving a relationship that they see the red flags in because they're worried about what other people think or explaining that to other people, and you don't have to, but if you're not happy, leave. And so she definitely taught me that, and it shows in my relationships now. Like, you do one wrong thing, I gotta go.
Oh Lord, it shouldn't run a man. It should not run a man away that you're independent though. You know, if he want you, and he's independent on his own, he should be able to handle
That's
your
a whole
independence.
nother conversation.
It's definitely a
You
whole other
disagree?
conversation.
Yes, I actually had, I've had several guys say, "Oh, I don't meet your standards," or "I don't think I can change to be the kind of guy that you need, or the kind of guy that you deserve, because you're so strong and independent."
Well, he
And I
wasn't
can't deal
independent.
with it.
He wasn't the one for you.
Yeah, he wasn't
Yeah,
independent.
So I,
Like he,
so I had to go.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that. He wasn't.
See, I almost
He wasn't
did
ready.
something.
As Tiffany had to say, I wasn't ready. I'm ready. He wasn't ready. Mill, did you want to chime in on that, or Ty? Either one of y'all?
I mean, I'm good.
Okay. We're going to get a lot out of you this episode.
I mean, I got something to say, but I ain't gonna say
Go ahead. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead. Put it on out there.
Well,
Put it on Front Street.
my mother and my father was married for years, forever, like 15 years, and then they divorced. So I kind of got both, the good and the bad. But the main thing I think that I got out of a relationship is my mother, my grandmother, my aunt. We truly was a family where a village raised us. So we was taught, our family was very religious. So we was taught that a man is supposed to provide and protect. And I was always told by my grandfather, if a man can't treat you as good as I treat you, you don't need him. And my daddy would always say, baby, I love you for who you are. And a man should do the same. So I've always stuck with that. I have no problem with being submissive, believe it or not. I love to wear the panties and let the man wear the pants. I love
Right.
it. I love it. But you have to earn that with me.
Right.
You
It's a
don't get it
privilege.
easy.
How would he earn it?
It would come natural.
Provide and
If
protect.
if you protect and provide and nurture me in my love languages, the things that I need to make me happy, it's gonna come natural. I'm gonna be ready to submit to you.
Even in the strongest woman,
Yes.
submission is not
Agreed.
an issue.
Right, and just like that, I feel like guys, that was insecurity. Like you definitely can't be insecure and deal with a strong woman, especially not a strong black woman.
Or be intimidated by our language.
No, or how I switch it up when I'm being professional, and I have to turn it off when I remember I'm from Mount Road.
I would also
Miss
say
Mill
one more
Ivory,
thing.
y'all.
Yeah, I know, right?
I would also say being educated women, that does intimidate a lot of guys that because they feel like they have to be on the exact same level as us to make us happy, and that's not it. Like, we like you for who you are.
Right.
So I think
I
that's
don't-
And I feel
I
like
don't know who
it's
y'all
a
meeting.
no-no for me. Like, I wouldn't even have to get to a red flag. We're not even getting to a red flag, because once you tell me that, I'm a habitual ghoster, so
yeah, I gotta
Listen
go.
to me.
Habitual ghoster.
Habitual ghost.
Can you break that down for us?
Like she said that she has dated guys, and the guys might tell her, like, I don't feel like, I can live up to your standards, and she still deal with them. See, that's a no for me. Like, especially if we on the
No,
first date.
That's the last.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. Do I need to pay for my own food? I'm out. I ain't got time for it.
Yeah, that's the last conversation. Gotta
So-
go.
Because you're insecure.
So ultimately, y'all would say that it helped you in relationships. What you've seen up until this point
I
has
think
helped
you have to. It's personal.
Okay.
It can help and hurt you at the same time, because even though that strength is what we possess and it is our strength, sometimes it can be intimidating. And for a lot of men, is to the point of where we don't always see it how they're receiving it, and it's all about not our intentions, but the perception in which we are communicating. Because at the end of the day,
Communication. That's just
Right,
what I was
we
going
all-
to say. It's
we all
all
wanna be
about
connected.
communication at the end of the day. I was in a long-term relationship. I actually was engaged, and I was going to marry this man because he really taught me. I tell people this. He taught me how to still hold my identity and be in a relationship. He communicated that with me.
That's deep. Because you do have to do that. A lot of people get lost in the relationship and lose themselves, lose what they like, what they dislike, what their goals are in life because of that relationship. So that's big. Going into this particular episode, which is stirring away from relationships and going a step further. Once you're in that relationship, you have a child. We're going to start off with the quotable data of the hour.
So the QD of the hour, again, is just another version of our fun facts. Info for you to give to your family, friends, colleagues, coworkers, and church members. 70% of mothers with kids under age 18 work outside the home, and 40% of those moms are the family breadwinners. The majority of that 40% are single mothers.
And our episode, do you got it? Our episode, the introduction to this, to kind of lead us into what we're talking about, the topic.
All right. So, no matter what choices are made about children, mothers often feel they can do better. If guilt is a mother's primary emotion, it can override other pertinent information such as pride, affection, and empathy. While we all realize there is no perfect way to parent, we still feel bound to parent in a certain way according to the ever-changing parenting book of our generations. Where do we begin and where do we stop with the trends of mommy guilt?
So our topic today, mommy guilt, managing your mental health while raising your children. This is fairly new to me. I haven't heard it termed as such, so let's just dialogue into that. Let's start there. What is mama guilt in y'all own language? Or have you seen it? Have you had it? Have you heard it from anybody? If it wasn't you personally, I'm sorry. Did I introduce? We did introduce the guest, didn't we?
Yeah,
sir?
they
All right. So to my guest first, what is mommy guilt? Have you heard of it? Have you experienced it yourself? Either one of y'all?
Yes. So in my eyes, in my opinion, mommy guilt is just feeling like you're never doing enough when in fact you're doing the best. Like your child appreciates so much. And you just feel like you're never doing enough. So it's like you're on a treadmill and you just steady, pushing.
You got, how many you got?
I have one. He's 5.
Okay, all right. And what about you?
Well, so mommy guilt for me manifested actually in terms of my son's mental health. I have a son that suffers from bipolar depression and some other mental health issues, and it manifested in me because I felt like what I was thinking, like, what could I have done differently? Or did I not do something right? And, just the same as you, I basically did everything right. And I had to basically seek counseling myself to realize that it's not you, it's his interpretation of things. So that's how mine manifested.
Okay. You had something?
So for me, when I think about mommy guilt, I think about kind of what Miriam said and kind of Ms. Mill as well when you're talking about trying to give your children the best life they can possibly achieve. And then when something doesn't go as you perceived it should be, feeling like there is something different that you should have done or that you would have done. For an example, when I was younger, I never wanted to have a child out of wedlock because I just had seen the impact of, not having a two-parent home from my own personal experience. And I just wanted my child to have both parents present. So when I conceived my son, of course, I was not married and I was not with his dad. So I had that mommy guilt that my son doesn't have rights to both his parents because, I, again, got in a relationship with somebody or got involved with somebody I wasn't in a relationship and we weren't together. So I felt bad that, my son wasn't going to have that come home to both parents. And it took me a while to kind of come out of that spacing of he still can have two effective parents even if we don't share the same household. But that was an example of mommy guilt that I felt. And then too, when I first had my son, finances were in a different state. So I couldn't give my son everything that I had seen other people do, in terms of, they got some stuff out here for these babies now.
Yes,
yes. $200 and $300 items, all the things that, they say are help your child be secure and all of these things. I couldn't always afford them. And so I felt guilty because Why you going to help, baby? You can't give them. You can't do these things. So those were the type of experiences I initially had, and that's what kind of mommy guilt was to me. Was again that never being able to give my child enough or be enough in that state. So that's kind of what it looked like for me.
So how does that manifest? Because um, I don't know if it's just because I'm a guy. Like, if I ain't got it, I ain't got it.
I think
And
Women are natural nurturers. So with women being nurturers, it's gonna be different. I did that on purpose. That's why it's very important, like you were saying, that both parents are involved in the child's life because God made the mother, women, to be nurturers. And so the disciplinary is the father.
you're just gonna make me beat my kids. No, I'm just
Well, not just that, but those are, especially when it comes to boys. It's only a man can teach a boy how to become a man.
well, you ain't gonna get no qualms from me on that one, but somebody else might differ. But I see what you're saying. I see where you're going
I'm
with that.
telling them from somebody that has my kids are older than y'all, so I didn't experience that. I didn't experience that guilt of not being able to provide. I did initially experience because I was a teenage mother. I had my daughter in high school. And so I had my son 2 years after high school. So I more or less like, oh, I'm finna get it because they not gonna want for nothing.
right.
So their grandmother was active in their life. Their father was in and out, And so I dealt with the opposite of giving them too much or trying to make sure, right, because we had a village. And so I think that's why I was able to tell where my manifestation came in because it was later on. My baby's 25.
So after thinking about it, then it came about like, okay, I'm seeing what I've done so far, how it's transpired, how it's affected them. That's what you're saying?
I'm saying that I just didn't basically I think mommy guilt is kind of the same for everybody because I still felt like you were saying, you felt guilty because you could not give, but I felt like, why are we going through this? You had everything.
Okay.
Different. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same thing with people
You didn't
keep
go
him
without
busy.
anything.
He was in sports since he was 4 years old. Like, I'm confused.
I'm giving you the world. It's not enough.
So it kind of manifested the same feelings, but because of the different
Aspects of life.
correct.
And I think too, Kerwin, kind of like what you're saying. How do we get here? You constantly have a perception of motherhood put in our face in television, in movies and streams, and kind of what it is. You're pressured into a lot of things. The argument is simple of how you feed your baby. Right, that's a trend now.
Right.
To where if you're not, breastfeeding, then you're in some states people say you're an inadequate mother.
Really?
Yeah, like there's a lot of things of what it is to be a good mother, and so in terms of that, if you buy into a lot of things, it can really mess you up when it comes to this idea of mommy guilt and whether you're doing the right things. Because like she said, if your child is born, special needs or anything of that nature, a lot of parents take on, I must have did something wrong, when really it's not about that. It's just children develop differently and children have different responses to situations. And so I think it's a lot of different things that kind of create this notion of mommy guilt. And I think I like what you're saying because I never thought it in that way. Mommy guilt goes on even beyond just their childhood. Like we're talking about adulthood, and we're still holding on to
Baby.
or experiencing mommy guilt.
Baby, your child holding on to you.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, for real. But yeah, and so I think that's part of it too, that lets you know too, when very important for you to think about your mental your mental health when you're dealing with mommy guilt and other things, because it helps you to understand that it's really not about you. You're internalizing something that has nothing to do with you. because as you said, it's just all about their perception and how they're developing. It didn't have nothing to do with you,
And
unless you're abusive.
And I would also say a lot of moms that go through postpartum, like I think in the African American community, there's this stereotype that you're not supposed to get therapy. You're supposed to be the strong black woman. So it's like when we go through postpartum, we don't tell anybody. I went through it. I did not tell anybody. So my mom did not even know that until I was, my son was like 3 or 4. And I finally told him like, hey, I had postpartum. And so that kind of influences how you treat your child. So in turn, it's like, I want him to play every sport there is. If he want to play it, he play it. He has everything he could ever imagine. And I've always worked 2 jobs since he was born, been in school full time, got 2 degrees. So it's like, I'm not spending enough time with him, but he's content. He's fine. So it's like that alone, like, oh, I take all these trips, but I'm not spending time with my child, and that's not fair. So that creates mommy guilt.
Yeah. Did you know you was going through postpartum at the time?
I did.
Because most people don't even know that they're actually experiencing that.
Does postpartum look different from mommy guilt, or is it an extension of it?
Sometimes I feel like it's an extension.
Sometimes I believe that too. Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like it can manifest as an extension because of what she said, that she treated him differently. When you have postpartum, you don't have mommy guilt. You just don't have that nurturing that God automatically instills in you. So you treat your child like they're the problem.
Yeah, it shows up.
Whole nother
of course, in
conversation,
your emotions, your
Yeah.
behavior.
It showed up in what?
In your emotions, your behavior. I was breastfeeding, and then I did not want to eat. I wasn't wanting to eat. I was depressed. So that took a turn, and my mom, I think she probably knew, but I didn't tell her. And so she would just come make sure I ate. She was making sure I drank plenty of water, making sure we were fine. And so, yeah, that's an extension of it. And we mask that because we're supposed to be strong. And then goes into the stereotype of not being able to get therapy, or if you get therapy, you're crazy, and that's not true.
Oh, I fucking love that. Oh.
It's okay. It's really okay.
I freaking love therapy. Like, I don't care what nobody say. When I see people, I tell people, my sister, my daughter, my son, they tell you, you always tell people that. You need to go talk to somebody. Have you seen somebody about that? You need.
I need to give you my card then, so you can just hand it out to
Yes,
some
sir.
people.
I know a black one.
Yeah.
Give me your.
Hey, but when you said you think your mom kind of knew, but she didn't really say, and you were more or less hiding it or not talking to her about it, that led me to the thought of, I wonder have more African American women experienced it, like in the 70s, in the 60s, and because they experienced it, maybe they didn't know the word for it, maybe they didn't get therapy, but because they experienced that, it's like, okay, let me help this baby. Without telling her or saying, okay, it's okay for therapy. That's how they did it in their own way. That's kind of
like my family, girl. They can pray about everything.
Oh.
She would do laundry. She would come cook. She would wash dishes.
Oh,
get the baby while I took a nap. Like, even now, my mom gets him probably 4 or 5 days a week. Every evening when she gets off work, she comes to get him. They spend a couple hours together. He comes back home. So it's like, it's my break.
What you saying?
I think that's it. I'm listening to both of them, and I'm hearing the significance of the village and really having a support system in place. I think that's another thing that sometimes affect people different when we're talking about the mental health of women during their experience with parenting, because everybody's support looks different, right? Miriam talks about, how her mom is there. Well, my mom was deceased. So that's another element of you stepping into a identity or a role that really you don't have any direct guidance of. And so that can affect people because you're now having to utilize what is. And some of what, the way my mom parent is not the way that I can parent my son now, because things are different, right? There's a lot more stipulations and things. My mom was believe in some things, and I can hold true to some of them, but some of her ways were not effective. And so, just really trying to find a balance in between, what's going to work best for my child. And then, again, not making sure I'm not overextending, or doing too much of things. So I think it's a lot that goes into this. So I really like that both of you ladies in your own perspective are talking about village, but the village looking different.
But did you feel guilty?
I think
Because that's a whole nother thing. Like, I experienced that in the fact that when I had my kids, my mother had went back to Texas because we were originally from Texas. So I was in Greenwood and they didn't have that grandmother. So I felt some type of way about it.
it is a level of guilt. I think for me, it was a guilt all around, and that even when you're talking about postpartum, because I experienced postpartum with my son, and as a person that was going through getting my master's at the time, I knew what depression looked like, but I wasn't going to admit to anybody that that's what I was going through. The doctor's asking these questions. I'm like, you experienced some of this? Nope, nope, nope. Because of we're black women, and black women all around the world have done this. I'm not the first person to have to go through this.
Is what we do.
So we gotta carry ourselves. And I think when you talk about, is this something that we've always done? I think it is been something that we've always experienced. You see it more as, I think in previous generations, you had more of the grandmother village. Auntie stayed next door, grandma stayed right here, cousin so-and-so stayed right here. So even if you didn't realize you had a village, you had a village. Like the neighbors knew everybody. If I got in trouble, everybody on that street, anybody had permission to whoop me, anybody had permission to discipline me, because that's what it looked like. Now that's not the case. You can't say nothing to other people's children.
Oh, you better not.
So that's kind of, again, another fulfillment of guilt, because I'm really having to create this network of village for my son, in a sense, in terms of that. So there was a level of guilt by not my mom not being here, even though I had no control over the way in which he didn't experience her.
Yeah, as I'm listening to y'all too, this takes me to how important it is to like kind of vet your therapist, because this is a learning episode for me. I'm aware of postpartum. I'm sucking it in. I wasn't aware about mommy guilt, and so if someone was to come to me for that reason, I can help you with symptoms that may be tied to that. But I really don't understand postpartum. I really don't understand mommy guilt, and I'll have to go and really do some research or reach out to somebody about it. But that's, from a person that's thinking about therapy, it's important to vet the person that you are asking to help you, to make sure that that's their level of expertise or interest, so that they can better help you, as opposed to just kind of put a Band-Aid over some stuff.
The fact that you're willing to learn, also someone, if you was the type of therapist to say, somebody come and see you and you was like, look, I'm really not familiar with that, let me look into it, or would you like me to refer you to someone else? That's just like, someone would really appreciate that honesty. And so it's like, okay, we're going to work through this together with your education and the tools that you can give me, and sometimes that actually may be a plus.
Oh, yeah.
Could be new waters for everybody.
So who does this stuff at? Is it just single mothers? Is it who does it affect everybody? That might be a dumb question, but hey, I'm gonna ask it.
I would say everybody. I had this coworker. She was married, had just had a baby. Her husband was there, but when you're taking care of the baby by yourself, it's like, that's a lot. And it's like, especially when your family's not close, it's like, oh my God, I'm at home, I'm stuck in the house for 6 weeks with this crying newborn baby, can't do anything, can't shower, can't eat in peace. And that's a lot. And like, then just imagine going through grief on top of that. Like me, my grandma, she died 2 months before I had my son. So I was experiencing grief, and then postpartum, I'm a new mom. Like, I've raised nieces and nephews, but what do I do? So
you can't take him back home. He yours.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna interject because I don't have children, but as I'm listening, I'm just thinking, and I'm gonna be real transparent. I've never experienced mommy guilt because I don't have children, but I'm just thinking I was in a relationship where children were involved, and I'm just looking at myself, and I'm not being judgmental, but it's like I didn't know how to show up for children because I guess given the person that I am, you know, it was always be me, and I never babysat growing up. I'm not watching nobody kids. No, they knew I don't really know how to change a diaper, you know. So I feel I experienced these feelings of guilt, not in addition to the relationship, but it was a part of it. It's like, dang, what could I have done differently? Dang, am I not as nurturing? Dang, how am I going to be if I'm a mom? You know what I'm saying? Based off of my experience when children were present and I didn't show them the type of motherly love that was wanted, I guess, from the parental standpoint, you know. And that still sticks with me today. So as you guys are talking, it's like,
You got mommy guilt and you ain't never been a mom.
exactly, you know, and it's like, ugh, you know.
But that's good. That's good because
Yeah.
if other people are experiencing it, I'm taking over. I'm sorry.
No,
It's a habit. I'm a
having
host.
conversation.
But because it's good that you brought that up though,
Mm-hmm.
because you know people listening to this podcast probably is thinking the same thing. So the fact that you said that, somebody probably was like, "Yep, that's me."
Yeah.
And it also shows your nurturing side. If you're
Right.
feeling guilty now, it's like you're a nurturer.
Right.
Like,
thank
all women are nurturers. It's just that.
That's not a bad thing.
You just, I don't know, when it comes, you'll be fine.
And I think too, we can't deny society's influence to what.
You gonna talk into the mic so they can hear you.
Oh, I apologize. I think we cannot deny what society teaches us motherhood looks like. Even the notion of, you know, stepmommy. You know, when you are in a relationship with somebody who has outside children. And so the role and the expectation of what am I supposed to do, what's hands on, what's hands off, you know, even that puts you in a state of kind of that mommy guilt because, you know, if I'm in a relationship with the father of your children, I'm sharing the responsibility of them whether I want to or not in some capacity. When they are with someone, their safety is my responsibility just as if they were my children. And that's kind of, I think, a notion of what sometimes create guilt for some women. I'm not going to say all women, because some women in conversations I have
Ratchet.
learned, some women don't care.
And they ratchet, and I don't care. They ratchet. Because what full-grown woman is not going to allow a man to father his kids the way that he should? And what full-grown woman is going to treat another child? She need to have mommy guilt for that.
I'm
How
mad
you
that
going to
you
treat
keep-
somebody else's child the way you don't want your child treated?
I'm mad that you keep saying full grown.
Full-grown.
If they full, ain't they grown? If
no,
they grown, ain't they full?
No, because it's some boys that's men
Okay. But
out there,
speaking-
and some girls that's women.
speaking of boys and men, based on what y'all are saying, as a man wanting to support
Full-grown.
my wife, full grown man, wanting to support my wife, how can I show up and help? Like how does that support look for either the husband, the husband or the baby daddy or the brother or the uncle?
First of all, the husband cannot be put in the same. I personally don't feel. I think I've got the most experience here.
Oh no. I got 4 kids.
No, we're the same age though.
Okay, yeah.
I'm talking about these women.
Oh, okay.
Don't do me.
Okay.
Okay, like I said, I'm pretty sure they will agree though that you cannot put a husband and what he can do to help in the same conversation as with a baby daddy. Because as a husband, we're in the home together. So what you can do is help share the responsibilities with me. As a child's father, you can, I don't like baby daddy. I know I'm ghetto, but I don't like baby daddy. But as the child's
I agree,
father,
I don't like the term baby
Agree,
dad,
I don't
baby mom.
either.
It's the mother of
And the
child,
father.
the father.
Yeah,
Like
and the
it's
father.
mother's
So
mother-
as the
mother's
father, what you
child's
can do is still be present in the child's life. You can be present in the child's life, but absent from the mother. Stay out her business. You want to spend time with your child, you make time to come and get your child, or you pick your child up on certain days to do homework. you show up at these games, especially if it's a boy, you're going to show up and you're going to do these things. As a husband, the fact that you're the husband and you're the leader of the house, that's going to already come natural.
I say this. Yes, it's two separate conversations for sure. Because as a husband, it's your duty to provide and protect for your wife and your children.
Correct.
As the children's father, all you have to do is take care of this child, and that's it. Whether this be a break from your kids.
He should still be providing and protecting.
No.
Because then that's where boundaries get crossed, and that's
Right.
when you get those children's fathers that dip into mom's relationships. Mom cannot have healthy romantic relationships because here he comes. Well, why?
But now that take two,
it
though.
is the father's
Yeah.
no, it is the father's responsibility to protect and provide for that child. That mother is no longer his responsibility. Whether she's single, entangled, married, or not.
No, to some degree, she is, because she's the guardian of that child when he is not present. So I got to still try to look out for her, if at all,
to a certain degree,
at all possible.
My ex-fiance actually brought his ex a vehicle so his kids can get to school. Oh, I was
Okay,
cool with
okay.
that. Her car broke down. They had to
Okay.
get to school to a certain degree.
For the kids to
I don't
school,
know.
yeah.
I gotta see that's
I
something
think in
totally
terms,
different.
no, I don't
It
think
is
it's
different.
I think it's
That's making sure your kids are taken care of.
I think it's important to communicate the relationship and the expectations. That's dependent on that individual and what that person's commitment was, and I think it depends on what their relationship was prior.
Exactly.
Understanding if I was living with you and you were a primary provider for me as well in our relationship, and now I'm separate from your household, I may still need some of your support until I'm stabilized. And so if that means paying a phone bill, paying an electric bill, whatever it is to a capacity. I'm not going to say that you have to, but
nice.
it may be something that you support. It doesn't mean that that's what you have to, but I'm not mad at that. Now, what I'm not going to allow is for you to continue to do this and sister girl ain't doing nothing for herself.
No, you ain't paying my
Right.
phone bill because you're going to tell me who to talk to.
No.
I'm not
And
paying
that's
your
what I
phone
mean.
bill. I will watch our son so you can go get you a second job and pay for your phone bill. If he's not in my
Oh, that's what you're doing.
no, yes, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, so
So you can watch
And
my
I can
son while I
do
go
that.
on
All
a
right,
date.
so when you
so
said
he
you
can
said
pay my
earlier,
phone bill.
you said boundaries, right? My boundary is I'm not gonna take money out of my household to pay for you. I will pay for our son. You don't have to have a cell phone. I come from a generation where there was no cell phones, so you don't necessarily have to have a cell phone.
Move back. Okay, you come from that generation, but in
We
today's
had people-
generation,
That's not it. So I look at
We
you.
had
Have
people.
to, she can have a
How school
landline.
gonna
They
get
still
her?
have landlines.
But
Oh
you
my
know what?
God.
And they
No.
But okay, but I see
You
where
know
you're
what I would
coming
do
from.
in that case, if that's the way you feel?
that's
Here's
what
his
that's not
daddy
my
number,
wife. No, that's not
and
my
here's
wife.
his stepmom's number.
But
if something come up,
Hey, you know
call
what?
them. They know where I'm at. They
I'm-
gonna come
I'm
get
good
me.
with
I
that.
don't need a phone.
I'm good with that. I am good with that. If he's at
How
school,
many men are?
and you put my number down, and you put my wife's number
That's
down,
because you're a good guy. Let's not talk
All
about
men are
you.
not. Look, we can't even
We-
use you in this
you're not
equation
even
because all men are not
comparable
you.
because you're in the. This is a whole nother conversation, but you're probably in the 20%. It's an 80-20 when it come down to good black men. Let's
can
talk
we?
about it.
Let's get back.
yeah,
to
but
it.
I'm gonna reel us back in to the mental health of it because I feel like we could definitely continue to go on. So let me help bring this
We're
back
gonna
around.
have
No, so the
y'all
men-
back on for another episode.
Okay,
Just-
so the mental
free-for-all.
mental health aspect is I'm agreeing with you. I don't agree he should pay her bill. I agree with Kervin, not about the second job. I agree that's not your responsibility.
Right.
I feel like none of that is your responsibility. Now, when it comes down to your child, you can say, hey, this is what I can do. You know what I'm saying? Have them call me until you get your phone together.
Okay.
I'm with you.
But I
I
definitely
absolutely
see where you're coming from. Like even in the mental aspect of it, it gives you peace. So like me and my son's dad, we have a good co-parenting relationship. Hasn't always been like that, but throughout all the jobs, like they know, out of all the jobs that I've changed, like even now, I work an hour away. My son's in kindergarten. His dad picks him up from either school or daycare every afternoon, and he gets his homework done. He feeds him. He shows up for the soccer games,
As he
and I'm
should.
just
That's
and I'm just
awesome.
now coming in. But everybody doesn't have that, and like
Right.
even every week he goes with his dad for overnight stays. and that gives me my break. But everybody doesn't have that, and so when it comes down to mental health, they're going crazy. Like they're depressed, like anxiety is through the roof, like
Absolutely.
And I think that goes back to Kervin's question, like what can our support systems do? Especially for me, I know when you first have a baby, everybody wants to come and hold that baby. But if you really want to help that mom, help that mom by washing the dishes.
Wash the dishes.
Help that mom by, I'm serious. When you're talking about really wanting to help support that mom,
I agree.
because what happens is while the baby is woke, I'm taking
I
care of the
can't
baby.
do anything.
While the baby's sleeping, I either gotta sleep or I gotta try to clean this house back up,
Right.
get stuff back organized. So if you want to be supportive in that way early on, do that. Or if you're gonna come and sit with the baby, don't sit and keep them while they sleep. Keep them while they woke and let me get a couple of hours of sleep.
Absolutely.
So there's
Yep.
different things that you can do as
Absolutely.
a husband. I can't speak because I'm not married, but from a husband's perspective, in over that overnight stay, if you have the opportunity to alternate getting up versus staying in bed, allow that, creating that. That's what I've heard a lot of women say. So again, not speaking for personal experience, but I've seen that because what that means is you're supportive in that journey. Allowing her to go out with her girls' days. Those days, I like what Miriam talks about is being able to take those trips. And I think that's another thing of mom and guilt, that if I'm out enjoying my life or having fun, I'm neglecting my parenting responsibilities, and that's not the case. And so I think that's why it was so important for me to get Miriam on, because I'm learning from her. And, she's taking trips. Homegirl takes trips. You know what I'm saying? She has fun.
She did say she liked traveling.
Yes,
she
but
did.
she's also at the soccer game. Both of our kids play soccer. She's a soccer coach. We talk about teaching. Yes, we talk about teaching our children. We've talked about, teaching them words. We went to birthday parties, so she's doing the parenting things as well.
Because she's so blessed. You
Right.
know why? She's blessed to have a village in place.
Right.
If you paid attention, like not saying you didn't pay attention, but listening to her, that's what I think we're missing in today's society. Like you shouldn't have to have mommy guilt because you're a single parent. Of course, you have to do what you have to do if it's just you, and you. But at the end of the day, when you have that support system, it makes it so much easier. And like, even if you have friends,
Right.
like I have some of the same friends I had in high school, I still have friends now. They used to literally come get my daughter and say, hey, I'm gonna take her for the day.
That's it.
Or pack my baby up. And so it's just about having a village. I think that village, because you will go crazy mentally. Mommy guilt or be mommy depression.
Right. Motherhood is a full-time job, and I respect what I hear you saying, because for me not being from Greenwood originally, I don't have family here. My son's family, some of them are here, but that's his daddy's family. Shout out to his grandparents though.
That's how I was.
Leroy and Gwendolyn. That's my family. Those are my people. I love them. Y'all don't nobody mess with them. But they carry a lot. They became a part of my support system. Shout out to Rod, Zach, Shan, Curtis, all of them too, because when I had Dalton, I would not have been able to sustain without their support, without having that support system here, because it is a lot. It's a lot day in and day out. You don't know what's going on. Oh, can't forget my sister, mom. I could go through a list of people that really became my family and became my village. When you don't,
same here.
Right. When you don't have that direct village, that's what I was talking about earlier. You got to create that.
You have to be
Shay,
comfortable
Lakeitha.
with creating it. That's
Right.
another form of mommy guilt too. Now you just brought that to my attention. A lot of people don't feel comfortable with. I deal with this with my daughter actually. Of course, we don't have family here, and now she's in Columbia, and so I relocated to Columbia because even though she has people there, she feel like I don't want to be asking nobody to keep my baby.
Right.
Or I don't want my baby. What if he don't want to go over there? They got a dog. He don't like dogs. Like she is. I think with Miriam saying she take trips, that's very important for self-care. That's very important, because that you can't feel guilty about that. Because mommy guilt will consume you, and then what else are you left with?
I'm telling you, I experienced that the second week after my son. They was pushing breastfeeding. I caught mastitis, the infection when you're breastfeeding, very common amongst women. So I had to be hospitalized for a couple of days. Of course, my son couldn't stay. So shout out to my sister again, Lakita, and Monty Lee. Mom, actually, they came and got my son, took care of him. When I got out of the hospital, they didn't let me go home by myself. They let me come to their house. They had my baby. I'm upstairs. She's talking about sleep. That's what I need you to do. I'm in the bed crying, Lord, I can't even take care of my own baby. I'm pouring down tears. That mommy guilt you're talking about, and kind of what your daughter is experiencing, because
It's hard for you to take care of
it's
yourself.
hard, right? And I can't even put that in mind, because you're thinking about this other person. You're thinking about this being that you're responsible for. And so it gets you to that point of where there's a lot going on that creates and reinforces this idea of mommy guilt. And you really got to take a step back from it and really just breathe. Give yourself grace. I heard Kevin Samuels say that in a video, and it's really been my lifesaver. He talks a lot of trash. Kevin Samuels, yes. But he's got a particular video that talks about giving yourself grace. And as a mommy, you have to do that in order to protect your mental health. Because if you don't, the expectations of everybody else, what her parenting look like can't be what my parenting look like, because our children are not the same. We don't have the same resources. We don't live in the same environments. So I can't take away that she a great mother, but she can't take away that I'm a great mother, and vice versa. And I think once you begin to understand that, and it looks different, there are things that we probably have opportunities of improvement for in our parenting techniques, but you got to do the best that you can do with where you are now, and then continue to improve upon that. And that's what I feel is very important when we're talking about mental health with children, because our children are going to be a direct reflection of what we are and what we're struggling with. Because if we're struggling with depression for an extended period of time, and anxiety, especially even from a therapeutic standpoint, a lot of times I see that in children. I remember having a client who was strongly had a lot of anxiety, and I couldn't get where it was coming from. But a lot of things, everything always had to be perfect. And I'm like, well, where did this derive from? It went back to mama, because that's how mama's schedule was. Everything had to be perfect. But mama had to do that because she was the only one. So she had to know when, where, what, why, how long, so she could plan for her next event. But it was creating anxiety that now this child has to try to live with. So we're looking at the long-term effects of these things, and why it's important for us as mothers to take them trips, to connect with these villages, to work with other people, because we need that breathing, giving yourself space and giving yourself grace.
Man, I appreciate this this topic. I've learned a lot today, just listening to y'all dialogue about it, and I love the energy in the room. Everybody dialogue. Would you come back, Mil?
Sure.
Would you come back, Miriam?
Miss Mil Ivory.
Yeah. As I'm listening to y'all, I do an exercise with the guy group that I do. It's called Speak On It. And we'll have like different topics, and then you just put out and we'll speak on it. Like, I think y'all to be really good for that next topic, especially you, Mil, because you got an opinion about everything.
I have not an opinion, baby. A lot of times I speak from experience.
Oh, so you got facts about everything.
I promise you, when I tell you, if people tell me I should write a book. When I tell you a lot of things that I've been through, I know everything that I've been through. My story is a testimony. Almost everything you can talk about. I've been in an abusive relationship. Have a child that deal with depression. I've been here with nobody. Like my mama, literally when my brother graduated high school, she like, y'all grown, I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been there where I had to build my own foundation. I've been in a relationship where I had to learn to be the woman, learn to pipe down. I got this, baby. He used to tell me that all the time. I got it. Don't worry about it. I had to learn how to be a partner. It's just, I have so much.
And I think that's why self-awareness is key, and I know that's easier oftentimes too said than done, but like Dee said, taking a moment, wait a minute, let me step back. First, let me extend myself some grace, because although I know that there are sciences and theories and things and books written by parents, I can't say it come with a guide, but it really don't come with a guide because everybody experience is different and it's unique, you know, and it's ever evolving. But really taking a moment to step back, breathe, praise yourself for where you are, what you've been able to do, reset, because that child or those children cannot survive without you. So if you're not in your well state, whatever that looks like for you, my kids gonna pick up off of that. So I guess that can be our kind of self-awareness tips. And y'all let me know when my child, he may or she may be at, or they may be acting now, and that could be because of something I ain't got going, or I have going on, you know. But that's not that guilt. That's just let me check in with me and see what's going on, you know. So give yourself grace. You know what I'm saying? Breathe. The breath is so important. It allows space between what we're thinking and ultimately how we react. And teaching those same skills to our children so they know, oh, when mommy get upset, she breathes. I'm going to breathe too.
Yep.
And it's creating that social emotional regulation techniques too, you know. But it's all a learning journey and it's experience. And again, I commend each and every one of you beautiful mothers up here. Coming from someone, I'm not a mom, I'm an auntie though, you know, and I aspire to be a mom. Thanks.
That village.
Keep going,
that village
y'all.
is important.
Village
is important. So that village is so important. But that skill that you're talking about, even now, I've always been the one to my mother, and it goes down to like what Dee was saying. Like my mother, when she got upset, it was always give me a minute, right? And I'm blessed that I had a family that communicated. I didn't even realize growing up, I used to be like, oh, God, we got to talk about this later. But now I love it. And I was raising my kids the same way. And I just did a podcast on otherhood, the transformation. I ain't put it out yet. Oh. I just recorded it. The transformation of raising my adult kids from being kids to adult kids is a difference. Okay. So in that, the technique with us is, I need a break. And my son, because he always, you know, boys, they rah-rah, you know, especially against their mama. And I'm one of the ones, I'm in your face. We going at it. What's good? But so our thing is, I need a minute. And once we say that, we know I don't care how lit we is, how hot we is a cool down because we don't want to get disrespectful with each other. Right. And then we come back. But I've done that with them ever since they was teenagers. I did have to choke a couple of nicks, but after that, you know, we was good. But it is very important that happens.
I think so. And it's important, too, to realize that life is a transition. You know, we talk about, and I think Miriam kind of mentioned this earlier, too, you know, going to school, getting your career, all of that is transitional. And so at some point early on, you may be working a full-time job, going to school, or, you know, working multiple jobs just so that you can get yourself in a position where you can be better. And again, extend yourself grace because that's not permanent. And I am so grateful that I realized that, you know, what I couldn't give my son back then, I can definitely give to him now. No, he couldn't get a toy back then. Some days when I meant no. I remember his first Christmas, Family Dollar had that buy two for get one half off. Yeah. That was all that was up under that tree. And now just looking at God's grace in terms of where we are now, but I don't forget for one moment what that looked like, and I'm so grateful for that experience because I had Mama get about that. You know, he deserved better than this. My boy supposed to be having a four-wheeler like everybody else getting for Christmas. Don't even allow that to consume your mind when you are a mother, when what you're doing, because your role is important. What that toy did, I don't even know what that toy is. Them toys at. I don't even know what the toys I bought last Christmas
you know,
He don't know what they at.
He don't know.
Even with that, I let mommy guilt lead me in the direction to where my kids always have the best J's, the newest PlayStation, the newest this, and you know, even thinking back, even though they was happy on that day, a couple of weeks later it was gone. Right. And I still, as a child, after my mother and my father divorced, because she was a housewife, she didn't work. And so I learned that we were happier with just love. And I have stories that I'm not going to even take over and tell y'all, but stories I remember my mama had mommy guilt. You know, it wasn't a name for it then. I think y'all just coined that. Y'all need to coin that. But she was crying one Christmas because she couldn't give us anything. But We played games. She went and bought us some candy. We played cards for candy. And that was like literally one of the best Christmases ever because we were together and we all had fun.
And that goes into play of all you can do is all you can do. And you are not supposed to stress yourself out or tire yourself out trying to do more. Because what you're doing and what you're giving your child is what you're supposed to be doing and giving them at that point in your life. And so the fact that you're striving to do better, like, that's enough for them. Like I have my pictures from graduation around the house, my diploma, my degrees and stuff sitting up, and he's like, Mom, you remember that day they gave you that Bible? It's a diploma, but he was like, you remember the day they gave you that Bible? Right. And so he loves that and he remembers that. Like, I don't know, that right there is enough for me.
That's the only thing I was going to ask you, how you say your son is happy, and I know y'all probably need to end this, so I'm going to say this. My 2 cents, what I really want people to get out of this is, as far as mommy guilt is you, a lot of times it's you and it's not the kids. So you don't want to reflect that on them. One thing that I did, and I think it's a good thing, I came up with this on my own this time, but we did family meetings from the time, because I was a single mother. When I started dating somebody, they knew about it because I wanted, their mental health was important to me. And it came from me being educated because I have a psychology degree as well. So it came from me being educated and knowing how important it was. So I tried to extend that to them. It was something that my mother didn't know about, so she couldn't teach me. But we had family meetings where we would sit and everybody would openly discuss their feelings. And is mommy working too much? Because I went to school, I worked, stuff like that. And it was surprising, the things that you'll be surprised at how strong kids are and how we feel guilty about things that we shouldn't.
We had family meetings too, but they wouldn't open like that. That was my daddy telling us what we was gonna be doing.
Yeah, I know your daddy. Y'all didn't have a family meeting. No. Y'all had a team meeting.
Yeah.
And he was the coach.
Yeah.
And this is what the play is.
All right, so to kind of to wrap up the episode or whatnot, I just want to give you an opportunity to tell more about what you got going on right now to the world.
What I have going on? God is in
what
a blessing
you don't
business.
Have going on.
No, I'm just kidding. Hey, I can answer that faster.
Yeah.
No, just my podcast again, Closed Door Conversations podcast. I apologize to you guys if I'm a host, so it's a habit for me to run my mouth, and I talk a lot anyway. That's why I created my platform. But so Closed Door Conversations, I'm on all platforms. Also, A to Z Creations, where I specialize in personalization. I want to make you shy. Personalization and pleasure. I sell adult toys. I have a kinky corner. I also sell adult toys there.
I'm not. You're not gonna get me. This.
I wanted his
well,
attention.
You already got me responding.
I wanted his attention when I said it. That's why I was pausing, but he wasn't acting right.
Nah,
that was the theatrics.
I'm looking for what you sent me that I wanted to share with everybody. It says Mia Ivory she's a Texas, Carolina girl, right? Currently living in South Carolina, but this is what I really love, the sentence I love. She's a communication specialist by trade, entrepreneur by hustle, and podcaster via passion and gift the gab. And when I read that sentence, I was like, oh, yeah, that's definitely her. Yeah. So I was trying to look that up while you was doing that talk, but I love that sentence. Don't make that a part of your name or something. I don't know. I love that sentence. But so you got the closed conversation. You got the toys.
I think I'm gonna give you something.
No, you're not.
I'm gonna pray over too. I'm gonna say, "Ooh, Lord Jesus, let this put the in the and the eye."
Sister Marion, you got anything going on with?
So right now I don't have anything going on. Just striving to get to my career goal. I'm close. The goal is 6 figures by 30.
Ooh.
I got a couple of years. But
it's
from
coming.
Traveling a lot, now it's either go back to school and get my doctorate, or I guess you can say invest as far as being a travel agent part-time. I'm really thinking about that. But yeah, networking. Other than that, I'm just going with the flow.
Shout out to Miriam though, cause you just graduated. So shout out to
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
on that accomplishment. She went back to school. I remember us talking about them conversations.
Yes.
She put that plan into action. So congratulations on you and wishing you both much success in all that you do.
Yeah, thank y'all for coming out. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all here with us, and we appreciate that. If you have, those of you that are watching the show, if you have, or listening to the show, if you have any ideas that you're interested in or would like to hear us talk about, send us a message on Facebook or Instagram. And while you're sending us that message, make sure you subscribe to Speaking with Gravity on Facebook and Instagram. We'll make it easy for you and put it into the show notes. And that's it. That's a wrap for us. We out.